you. Thank you very much. Please take your seats. Your Majesty, Your Excellency, it is a great honour to welcome you both to the European Parliament. Thank you for being with us. Your Majesty, this House grieves with you. On Sunday, all of Europe felt the shock and sorrow of the train collision near Cordoba, which claimed over 40 lives and left over 100 people injured. Our thoughts are with those who have lost loved ones, with the injured, and with all those trying to come to terms with what happened. On behalf of this Parliament, let me also express our sincere gratitude to the firefighters, emergency services and first responders who showed such courage and professionalism in the most difficult moments. Your Majesty, please know that our thoughts are with you and with all Spaniards at this time. So I will start by inviting you to join me in observing a moment of silence in memory of all those who lost their lives. Thank you. Your Majesty, Your Excellency, dear colleagues, we gather here today to mark 40 years since Spain and Portugal joined the European Union. And before we continue, I'd like to invite you all to watch a short video in which younger generations speak with those who were there when Spain and Portugal joined the European Union, sharing how Europe has shaped everyday life across generations.
It was an important day. It created a lot of hope. I remember the news. All day long they were reporting on what was going to happen. Quite honestly, I don't remember it as a specific date. It was only later that I realized how important it was. I remember feeling that Spain, my home, had become part of something bigger, and that was Europe. How was your life when you were my age? At that time, dancing was not respected at all. It didn't have the prestige it has today. How was Spain then? It was very different. We toured everywhere: Belgium, the Nordic countries, Italy, France. I must admit, as a Spaniard, it shocked me. There was a huge contrast between the countries. What was life like for young Portuguese people back then? I started working in a bank, the first private Portuguese bank. I worked 10 to 12 hours a day. Is this an escudo? It's an escudo from 1986. My family was not in agriculture, but where I lived, in Cordoba, there was the School of Agronomic Engineering. I really liked the subjects that they were teaching. The Common Agricultural Policy, for instance, was one of the biggest changes. I think that the help it provided to our farmers was very important. At that time, did you think Europe would change your future? I thought it would open doors to be able to work abroad, which eventually happened. If Portugal had not joined the EU, perhaps that opportunity wouldn't have presented itself. It was important in terms of infrastructure for the country. I remember my parents used to go to Covilla, and it took us about 6 hours, and now it takes us 3.5 hours. It's half the time. In my time, there were also those opportunities, but I don't think it was as widespread as it is now. For example, I think that Erasmus is much more generalized. It's allowed people to think about the possibility of living outside Spain. Today it's different. The currency is the same. You don't have to worry about currency exchange. You don't need a passport. As if Portugal was extended to the rest of Europe. Europe, for me, has been something that has generated a wonderful monster that has become admirable. Today, personally, I'm not so sure about Europe's cohesion. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that our politicians or the European Parliament can help us become a united, strong front again. Fortunately, we're part of a united Europe that protects us. And when you have that, everything else follows on.
Dear colleagues, it is a great honour to mark the 40th anniversary of the accession of Spain and Portugal to the European Union in the presence of two leaders who embody that shared European journey. His Majesty King Felipe VI of Spain and His Excellency Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, President of the Portuguese Republic. Bienvenidos a esta casa europea que también es la suya.
Welcome to this European house, which is yours as well.
40 years ago, Spain and Portugal took their place in the European family after years of transition, transformation and perseverance. It marked a new chapter of freedom and opportunity that changed lives. Joining Europe carried real emotion. It brought confidence. A page of history was turned for good and democracy was here to stay. For the people of Spain and Portugal, Europe quickly became part of everyday life, shaping how they worked, studied, travelled, and imagined a future for their families. In turn, Spain and Portugal have helped shape Europe in lasting ways. You have strengthened Europe's engagement beyond its borders, acting as bridges to Latin America and Africa, and leading Europe's approach on so many issues. Throughout this journey, the European Parliament has worked hand in hand with Spain and Portugal. Spanish and Portuguese members of the European Parliament have been central to this effort, helping to ensure that Europe listens, leads, and delivers. The world is changing. In your recent Christmas message, Your Majesty, and in your New Year's message, Your Excellency, you both returned to a simple truth, that democracy endures only when it is cared for, and peace only when dignity is respected. That truth speaks directly to Europe today, and it guides our work for tomorrow, as our European project adapts to the new world. Europe was not built to stay still. We will change, we will adapt, and we will look to Spain and Portugal to ensure that we are ready for the next 40 years. The European Parliament has a responsibility to act, and we will continue to do so with honesty and determination. Your Majesty, Your Excellency, as you address this Parliament, allow me to thank you both warmly and to congratulate you for your tireless personal and institutional commitment, your closeness to people, and your strong European conviction. Spain and Portugal remind us what 40 years of shared commitment can deliver and why our work together must continue. Viva España, viva Portugal, viva Europa. So it's now my honour to invite His Majesty, King Felipe VI of Spain, to address this chamber.
Thank you, Madam President of the European Parliament, President of the Portuguese Republic, President of the European Council, members of this European Parliament, authorities, ladies and gentlemen.
It is a great honor, and one I am deeply grateful for, to address you on the 40th anniversary of the accession of Spain to the European communities. And it is my great pleasure to do so alongside my dear and much admired President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa of the Republic of Portugal, our brother country. To him and everyone in Portugal, I say, in their language, together we take a historic step, another one in our long shared history. But allow me also to thank you, especially and from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of all Spaniards, for all the tokens of affections we are receiving in these days from so many authorities, institutions, and anonymous citizens from so many areas of the world, particularly the EU, on account of the terrible rail accident that occurred last Sunday night in the municipality of Ademuz in the province of Córdoba. In the great pain of so many people losing their lives, so many people hurt, the pain of their families, these expressions of support, of closeness, comfort us, and they bolster our European spirit and our European feeling. This is our great shared legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, over these last 4 decades, my country, Spain, has changed and grown. And Spain has contributed to the growth and change of Europe. This is a story that is very familiar to me because it is mine, my story, and the history of so many Spaniards and Europeans, millions of us sharing this project of coexistence, which has made us, all of us, freer, more prosperous and stronger. This is the grandeur of our union. Now, allow me to take a look back to Madrid on the 12th of June 1985. On that day, in the Column Hall of the Royal Palace, the Treaty of Accession of Spain to the European Communities was signed. The next day, the media was celebrating us joining a political, economic and social framework with which we identified and to which we aspired. After a terrible civil war, followed by 4 decades of dictatorship, we had been separated. So we were not really celebrating accession, but rather a reunion with Europe. But on that day, that happy news shared the front pages with the terrible news of 2 attacks by the ETA terrorist gang that caused 4 deaths. This was the harsh reality of that time. I want to, here, in this House of all Europeans, to pay tribute to all victims of terrorism, hatred and violence. From this tragic memory, and in order for it never to be repeated, we have built, we Europeans, our project of mutual understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no citizenship without full awareness that we inhabit the same political space and that anything that affects one part of that space or that area affects us all. Our strength resides in our unity. It is so important, particularly in these times, to remember that. Belonging to Europe was a decisive factor in Spain's transformation. Today we are one of the most robust and advanced democracies in the world. Our economy leads growth in the Eurozone. Our GDP per capita has doubled since accession. We're at the forefront of telecommunications. We generate over half of renewable energies in this area. All of this has been thanks largely to the modernization process that we have undergone in and with Europe. But this process has been reciprocal. Spain has also contributed to and led to building Europe in many areas. Here I think of citizenship in particular, cohesion policy, developing the social pillar, the area of freedom, justice and security, and the recent construction of pooled debt mechanisms, the southern neighbourhood, the Mediterranean neighbourhood, and alongside Portugal, our emphasis in the strategic relevance of Latin America and the Caribbean. This is Spain transformed by Europe and Spain transforming Europe. We must remain aware of what this means, aware of the responsibility we have to preserve these achievements, because the situation that Europe is undergoing means that we must all remain committed. We cannot take Europe, the European Union, for granted. We as Europeans are often quite critical of the performance of our community institutions. And in our days, it's not infrequent to hear comments about the weakness of Europe and its dated idealism, its disconnection from reality. The exercise of criticism, critiquing, is a sign of a democracy that works, and it is positive to the degree that it enables us to make progress. But there are some criticisms that undermine our principles and values. Without those principles and values, Europe would be a mere geographical term. And it is there in the oblivion, in forgetting what building Europe means and has meant, that the greatest threat to Europe resides. In these dark times, the idea, the notion of Europe has never been more necessary. Because the Europe that we want, the Europe for which we fight, represents a search for reason. And in this quest, we write our history. This Europe, in these agitated times, remains a benchmark in ethics, a political benchmark, a space of freedoms, social justice, where education and healthcare are rights, where we work for equality, cohesion and inclusion, where investment, innovation and job creation are protected and promoted, where citizens can travel, reside, study, work, trade, only limited by or hampered by whichever limits we set for ourselves, for our own goals, our own lives. And where our languages, cultures, traditions, and so many aspects of our identity are today better protected and preserved than ever. Let us ask ourselves, what other regions in the world feel so deeply this notion of the common good, where it is as deeply rooted as here? And in the answering that, we will find the best defense of a united Europe. In foreign policy, this Europe that defends solutions based on rules and dialogue to settle conflicts and promote peace, stability and cooperation, where we cannot accept and much less support dated geopolitical notions as if they were signs of some new era. Ladies and gentlemen, these times remind us far too frequently that power without principles equates to barbarism, and that principles on their own without action to back them up lead to frustration and disillusionment. So let us continue to work on our defense, our strategic autonomy, in strengthening the European pillar within the Atlantic Alliance. We cannot postpone this. And at the same time, this is the best way to preserve a transatlantic bond based on respect and loyalty, one that has given us all so much. Without that connection, we'll be facing a world that is much more uncertain, much more unstable, and much more dangerous. Let us also be bold in our internal policies. Let us avoid excessive bureaucracy and too much red tape. Let us rise to the challenge of productivity, innovation, artificial intelligence. The pandemic proved to us what we can do when we work together, when we draw on the strengths of each and every member state. I said this a few months back at the end of your closing ceremony at the College of Europe. Let no one underestimate the capacity of Europeans to live up to and tackle their challenges. Today, 40 years after our accession to the European communities and at half a century since the beginning of our transition to democracy, Spain identifies fully with the project of building this magnificent space, a united Europe where freedom and social cohesion go hand in hand. Therefore, on behalf of all Spaniards, and thinking in particular of the youth, and in this house of all Europeans, I hope and urge all of us to continue to nourish and build this precious legacy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Your Majesty. I now invite His Excellency President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa of Portugal to give his address.
Senhora
Madam President of the European Parliament and dear friend, thank you for this invitation to celebrate the 40th accession of Portugal and Spain into the European communities. Your Majesty, the King of Spain, Felipe VI, and also a dear friend as well. President of the European Council, dear and old friend as well. Members of the European Parliament's Excellencies. Firstly, I would like to convey to His Majesty King Felipe and to the people of Spain my solidarity following the tragedy on Sunday, which led to the loss of so many innocent lives. The Kingdom of Portugal was born in 1143, so almost 9 centuries ago, and its independence was recognised in 1179. It was born in Europe, and it was born of European pedigree. It was born in Europe, fringed by the Atlantic Ocean. The mother of our first king was the daughter of the King of Leon, one of the kingdoms which centuries later would become part of the Kingdom of Spain. His father was a brother of the Duke of Bourgogne, the duchy which centuries later would help to create the Kingdom of France. But Portugal was also born of lineages stretching across Europe from north to south and from west to east. and also lineages stretching to Africa and Asia, and later to the Americas and to Oceania, a melting pot of ethnicities, cultures and religions. Our deepest roots are European, and these roots have always intermingled with other continents and other universes. That's why there is no pure Portuguese individual. There are diverse Portuguese individuals, diverse in their cultural richness. We are European. We are European by language, by culture, by history, and because we are European, we are therefore universal. Our life dates back to the 15th century, and from the 15th century to the 19th, 20th century was a constant saga within and outside of continental Europe, because from the 15th century onwards we crossed oceans and embarked onto islands and continents, a saga which led us to leave a diaspora all over the world. We were often happier navigating and crossing the world than in being involved in European wars. Now, with our neighbours who became our relatives, we achieved independence, we fought to maintain it, we lost it, and we also restored it. Up until the 17th century, there was constant unrest, similar to the wars in continental Europe that we were involved in. This led to a situation where in the 19th century, our independence had to be guaranteed with the capital of the empire in Brazil. We were Europeans, but Europe, which enlightened us, has not always brought us glad tidings. Excellencies, what is truly notable and different is that the European integration in the 20th century, which led to the accession 40 years ago, the same day as Spain, with leading roles for Maria Soares and Felipe González, changed history. It changed European history. It changed the history of relationships with our only neighbour by land. It changed our history. It changed to freedom. It changed it to democracy. It changed it to the rule of law, and it changed it for development and social justice. After centuries of independence based on oceans and empire and the unavoidable and entirely end to empire, with the creation of the community of Portuguese language countries, which touches multiple continents and oceans, Portugal and Europe, Portugal and Spain, Portugal and the members of the European community. We've begun a new history, and this history dates back 50 years now, and this history would not have been possible without Europe, at times on the edge of Europe and at times outside of Europe. The unique example of this change is the fraternity between Portugal and Spain, which Spain and Portugal, Portugal and Spain, which we now see with the two heads of states side by side representing our respective countries and peoples. Excellencies, today it's fashionable to talk down Europe, to diminish Europe and its role in the world. Let us not waste one single second in doubt, in flogging ourselves. We have more freedom, we have more democracy, we have more rule of law, we have much more than many, many others. Many of us enjoy levels of human development which are extremely high, and levels of social equality extremely high. We have one of the largest markets in the world. We can guarantee living conditions which are superior to the general average. People want to move to Europe from all continents. We know that this is not enough. At times, we lose time, and we need to do more and better. We need more youth. We need more knowledge, we need more science, more technology, more common security, more growth, a bit more justice, more ability to change our political systems, economic systems and social systems. We need more unity. We need more future. We need all of this. And so let us address these issues. Let us treat them as a priority and an urgency. First and foremost, we have ourselves. We ourselves that have always believed in a free Europe, an equal Europe and a democratic Europe. Let's rebuild it. Let us not be afraid of doing it. Let us have no inhibitions or complexes. We have alliances. We do have alliances. In addition to the European Union, Portugal has the United Kingdom. And we've had an alliance with the UK for over 650 years, and we would prefer that they were still here with us now. And we have the United States of America. They recognized, or rather Portugal recognized their independence after France, but the first neutral country to recognize their independence. And we would prefer it if they were always full and committed alliances without hiatus, without changes of heart. We have communities which are strong, historic, young and strong. But these are not the key points. We, the Portuguese, we, Portugal, we were or have been an independent country for many centuries. Many countries in the world didn't exist at this time, and the most powerful countries didn't exist. That's how things were, and we have always been in Europe. And over the past 40 years, we want to see more Europe, and that's why we also need to be part of the universe. We see ourselves as part of the European communities. We've always been part of the European Union. There can be criticisms of the European Union, of things not going right or not being enough, but this is nothing compared to what we owe the European project. We will always be European, we'll always be transatlantic, we will always be universal. Let us move forward. Let's focus on what is necessary. Let's focus on those alliances and partners that we want to work with, and they will always be there with us when they understand that there is no one in this world, there is no eternal power in this world. Our alliances and partnerships are more important than the commotion, however spectacular the commotion is, of every passing day. In addition, there is no one who, by force, can reshape the world into the hemispheres of the past, and no one who can dream of controlling their own hemisphere. No one can solve global problems on their own. They will fail, whoever tries to do this in the 21st century, as those who have failed in the past. We shouldn't be looking at bilateralism, which bilateralism is essentially unilateralism. This is a way of undermining and weakening multilateralism and the international bodies that support it. Those who want this hegemony, this control, can only try and do it as in their dreams. There is no way in doing that by ignoring Europe in its role of values and social justice. It has a role in the global economy, because Europe still is and will always remain a cradle of democracy. It will always be a beacon of liberty, and will always be a place for the welfare state, and always be a reference point for the welfare state. That's how things have been in the past. It's how things will continue to be in the future. That's why we, the Portuguese, never, ever will turn away from Europe. We will never turn away from our key role in the world. If we turn away from this role of universal values, it will be turning away from Europe and turning away from our values. It will be turning away from ourselves and turning away from all of the people. That's why we, the Portuguese, will never turn our back on Europe, because turning our back on Europe would be, for Portugal, turning away from a vital and irreplaceable part of ourselves. So on this day that we celebrate the 40th accession of Portugal and Spain to the European communities, long live Portugal, long live Spain, long live Europe.
Thank you, Your Majesty. Thank you, Your Excellency, for your words and for your presence here today. This formal session is now closed. We will return in approximately 1 minute to start the vote. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you.